Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, June 19th, 1:25 p.m. It's Fed Day, people. But isn't every day Fed Day, really, when we get right down to it? I mean, these markets are basically based on two things: the Fed and a presidential tweet. What else is it based on? So, the Fed will announce their decision in approximately 34 minutes. Once again, um, you know, there's a slight chance they might cut, but the high probability last time I checked, 86% was that they'll basically stand pat. So it's really the wording that matters. Okay, one word is all that matters. They'll be looking for. Will they take patient out? One word is enough. That's what the markets are hanging on. You have to be a wordsmith, okay? I talked about yesterday the hit pieces will start coming, and sure enough, there was another one today. Brian Belsky, okay, Chief Investment Strategist at Bank of Montreal. He says now is not the time to be buying gold, okay? See, these guys don't get it. They still think of gold as a gold trade. It's the gold trade, all right? This is the mentality on CNBC, okay? It's a trade. And according to this Brian Belsky, it's not the time, all right? No, it's not you buy gold today or you don't buy gold today. It's not about today, okay? It's about having true wealth, okay, that you just possess, okay? It's not a trade, okay? There's no counterparty risk. So he's asked, are we headed for a recession? His response, Mr. Belsky's response, how could you ask such a question on such a beautiful day here in Montreal? The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I mean, is this real? And he's the chief investment strategist, and this is his response? The only thing we have to fear is fear itself? I mean, this is a joke. We are not seeing any signs of a recession. Where on earth is this guy looking? Not now or going forward several months. Isn't that always the way? He sees stable growth, okay? Which, remember, Powell said he'll do everything he can do to keep this expansion going, which is just really keep the bubble going, all right? It's not growth. It's just a bubble that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Then he says, even though we haven't had a recession, doesn't mean we have to have one now, okay? So we may never have a recession. Isn't that what Janet Yellen said not that long ago, right? The Fed has saved us. They're our savior, okay? We might never, ever have a recession again. And this is the mentality that's out there. People have been lulled to sleep. They are so complacent, and they think that the Fed could just step in at any time and just, sprinkle their little, magic dust. No recession. All right? It doesn't work that way. No, the Fed, an institution, a corporation, nobody can prevent what's going to happen. They can only prepare what's going to happen. Okay? So this guy doesn't see any recession on the horizon, right? Says it's all fear. And then he says something that I mentioned yesterday about this deal, President Trump and President Xi of China. This deal, right? He says, when he's asked about this, what about the trade war? And he says, no, actually, there's evidence that revenues go up during a trade war. Right now, it's only fear. It's not based on any fundamentals. He says, China needs us more than we need them. In Western societies, we buy the stuff China makes. We buy the stuff that China makes. And this is what I said yesterday, right? So, China needs us to buy their stuff, okay? No, I think it's the other way around. I think we need China to take our counterfeit money. Okay? And China should wake up one day and realize that they can sell their stuff to their own population, that they don't need us. We don't make anything. Seems to reason, okay, that we need other countries, right? If we don't make anything, all we do is export inflation. So then he finally said, the interviewer comes around, well, what about gold? Gold will have its day several years from now. When emerging markets get going. Gold will have its day several years from now. I don't know what this guy is talking about. It's Fed Day right now, and gold is really looking strong. Last time I looked, which was about maybe not that long ago, half an hour ago, it was up about 40 cents. But what's really important, when they tried to take it down, it didn't breach 1340 this time. It went down to about 1341. So that was the low. It did not breach 1340. So this is very positive as far as I'm concerned, because it looks like we're not out of the woods yet, but it looks like it's trying to hold this 1340 level, and perhaps this could be support now. So we just have to wait and see. We have to watch and see what the Fed does. It's 28 minutes away. But the stars are lining up, it looks, for me. I said the clouds were on the horizon the other day, and it looks as if they are starting to gather here. All right? But I wanted to show Mr. Brian Belsky this chart. This is the debt to GDP ratio, okay, of all the countries. And might not be exactly up to date. Japan, 234% debt to GDP. Greece, 181. Sudan, 176. But the United States, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. They're 12th on the list at 108% of GDP. Time of this printout. I think the actual number might be about 106% debt to GDP. Now, 11 years ago during the Great Recession, we were 65% debt to GDP. Now we're about 106% debt to GDP. But according to Mr. Belsky, this doesn't matter. Okay, he doesn't see any signs of a recession. All right, 106%. We're in between Mozambique. Okay, we're slightly better. Well, Mozambique is 116% of GDP. Okay, but we're worse than Singapore, Gambia, and the Republic of the Congo. Okay. The trend is in place, people. This is where we're going. Gold is, I think, starting to show it now. You know, the day of reckoning comes. You can't prevent it. You can postpone it. They've kicked the can down the road for a long time, all right? But the day of reckoning is coming, and I think we're very close. And I think gold is starting to smell it, all right? So we just got to watch. It'll be very, very interesting. I plan on listening intently to the Fed, their conference after the decision, the press, and we'll see how Mr. Powell can walk with 2 feet in one shoe and satisfy the president on the one hand, okay, who wants a cut so he can juice the stock market. How he can satisfy the stock market on the other hand, okay? And all the while he can talk out of both sides of his mouth how this economy is still the greatest economy. And it's not us, but maybe the rest of the world is slowing down, okay? It's going to be very interesting. I'm sure he's going to turn himself into a pretzel to get it done. So we'll see what happens. And that's about it for now, people. The rest of the day is going to be fascinating. Ciao.